Hey guys, welcome back. So for this one, we're getting into the Incredible Hulk Blood Hunt tie-in, where now we got more vampires trying to drink the Hulk's blood and get strong. So with that said, if you're enjoying these videos, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications so we can squad up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so going into the Incredible Hulk Blood Hunt tie-in, this starts out in Arizona 50 years ago, where we find a couple of guys by the name of Mike and Carl, who we'll learn more about in a little bit. But while they're out here, Mike gets ran over by this kid covered in blood, running full speed. So at first, they check on the kid to see where he's bleeding or where he's been hurt, only to quickly realize that this isn't his blood. So Mike tries to ask this kid, where'd he come from, where's his family, but the kid doesn't speak any English. So eventually the kid ends up telling them what happened in Spanish. So Carl's like, what'd he say? And Mike tells him he said they're dead. But Carl, though he's not that fluent in Spanish, what he does know is that's not quite exactly what it sounded like. Cause really Mike was just trying to tell him what he think the kid meant. But as it turns out, what the kid actually told him was they're underground with many devils, which really just sets the stage for what's going on in the desert now. 50 years later, where we find Bruce passing through here to make his way to Las Vegas. Cause eventually this leads him to a movie set called Old Tuscan, so Bruce heads in to take a look around, in hopes of finding some food or water, cause at this point he's running low. And for a moment here we even see him pull out Charlie's figurine, to let her know they're making a stop and they'll continue to head west soon after. But as they head into Old Tuscan, we're shown signs here and there that things are kinda weird out here. Cause also at this point, the sun's gone dark for a number of days, so in the larger picture, we know what's really going on in the background. So as Bruce continues to make his way further into Old Tuscan, he comes across a saloon, so he figures it's the first place to look to hopefully find some food and something to drink. But when he goes inside, the place seems deserted at first until he hears a voice that says whiskey is all there is. It's just apple juice though. We pass it off as whiskey for the cameras. Cause come to find out, there's a guy here by the name of Miguel, who's just sitting here by himself in the middle of this fake saloon taking shots of apple juice. So he invites Bruce to have a seat and get apple juice wasted. So Bruce introduces himself, he makes his way over, he has a seat, and he asks Miguel, what is this place? What happened here? So Miguel just goes on to tell Bruce about the Old Tuscan movie set and how all the greatest westerns ever filmed were made here over the past 80 years, starring legends like John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, so on and so forth. But for Bruce, that doesn't explain why no one else is here right now. So Miguel tells him everyone went home. The movie shut down when the sun went dark. So Bruce is like, then why are you still here? To where then Miguel says, drink your apple juice and I will tell you. My family and I came over from Mexico 50 years ago. My parents, my sister, my brother, and me. Papa carried the pack and Mama carried me on her back, in her arms, back and forth. I remember pulling on a necklace she wore. Before we left Mexico, she had found a little plastic American flag somewhere. Just junk, but I liked it. She was wearing it the day we crossed. Before we made the trip, Papa made sure we had enough food, clothes, for the heat, and for the cold. Everything we'd need for our long walk through the desert. We must be careful, he warned us. That desert is full of the bodies of those who did not respect the dangers. I was only small, but when I saw the desert, I was surprised. If the desert is so full of bodies, I thought, why can I not see them? They were under the earth, blood-drinking devils that made their nests under the American desert, waiting for people to cross. They take us, feed on us, and the nest grows. Mama saved me. She had been bitten many times, but she pulled me away from the one that had bitten me, and somehow dragged me back up to the surface. That's how I got away, while all my family died. I ran all day and night through to the next morning. A kind old carpenter took me in, a set builder from Old Tuscan. My whole life has been in Old Tuscan now. I found my family here. I know every man, woman, and child, and they know me. I like the movies we make here. They're about America. Stories about opportunity, prosperity, possibility. But I never forgot my other family. I still hear their voices begging me to come back, screaming for me to come back, below the desert floor where I left them, barely 50 miles away, but I was too afraid. But I never went far either. I lived my life here, in my make-believe America, staring out into the desert, praying for the courage to find them again. So after hearing this, Bruce, he expresses empathy, telling Miguel that he's sorry about what happened, but by no means should Miguel go back out there, because his family wouldn't want him to become what they are. But before Bruce can continue, Miguel cuts him off right there and he tells Bruce, "I want you to know how sorry I am. They asked me to. They're so hungry all the time." So right here, Bruce is like, ask you to do what, Miguel? Miguel, what have you done? And right here, Bruce realizes with the sky dark, Miguel doesn't need to go looking for his family anymore, because they're no longer trapped in the desert. And I mean, he is able to see the moon because, you know, the whole thing with Khonshu being freed and Mark Spector during the main event. But right here, Bruce turns to Miguel and he's like, "You're not going looking for them. They're on their way here." And Miguel's just like, "No, Bruce, they're not on their way here. They got here days ago." And as soon as he says that, these hands reach up out the ground and they grab Bruce on some drag me to hell type stuff. And as they're dragging Bruce further and further down, Bruce is calling out to the Hulk, like, "Hulk, help me please." And Miguel just looks down from up top like, "I'm sorry, Bruce. They are just so hungry." And while Bruce is down here, in the belly of the beast so to speak, he tells the Hulk how Charlie thinks he's a hero. Not Bruce, but the Hulk. So he needs the Hulk to do what heroes do and get them out of there. And one of these things just gets all up in Bruce's face. And mind you, this one, she's like the leader of this group. And we'll talk more about what's going on with her in a little bit. But she gets up in Bruce's face and she says, "Who do you speak to, little thing? No one answered our prayers. None will answer yours." To where from there, they just start tearing into him. And it isn't until Bruce is just all kinds of messed up where the Hulk is just like, "Nah, well, alright, I guess I'll come out." And much like what we've seen throughout Philip K. Johnson's series, this takes us into the bone-cracking, flesh-ripping, excruciating transformation that takes place almost like the Hulk is enjoying it. And as soon as the Hulk comes out, he wastes no time tearing into these bloodsuckers, to where following this, the Hulk makes his way topside, and a number of these vampires come up after him. But the main one he's dealing with here, she tells him, "We know of you, fractured son. Your blood will feed us for an age." Which right there just ties things back to the eldest as well as the mother of horrors. But instead of this group being focused on turning over the Hulk to the eldest, they're more interested in just feeding. But when the group of them try to rush the Hulk, he just starts chucking these huge broken pieces of wood and debris right through them in a very hulked out stake through the heart kind of way. And I mean, it's a bit overkill, but it gets the job done. And mind you, this whole time Miguel's in the back watching all this happen. And eventually one of these things gets lucky and it gets a bite on the Hulk, which causes it to feel stronger. But before this thing can feed anymore or make any use of its newfound strength, the Hulk just smashes this thing into juice and it's a wrap for him. But also in Blood Hunters issue 2, we got a bit of a preview of what effect this would take when we saw a group of vampires who fed on Bruce's blood, which made them stronger, but at the same time a lot of them also had a Hulk-sized appetite. But unfortunately this wasn't explored too much after Blood Hunters issue 2, but at the same time I kinda get why, cause there's a lot going on. But right now with the Hulk killing a ton of these things, the main one he was dealing with before, she returns, stabbing the Hulk through the back while telling him, "My babies. You killed my babies." Which from here turns into a pretty quick fight between the two, because this isn't really the type of enemy the Hulk would struggle with, so it's really not too long before he tosses her to the side and pulls the huge stake out of his chest and just Hulk chucks it into hers. But I would say what happens next is more substantial than the fight itself, because while she's stuck here and pinned to the wall, she starts telling the Hulk about how her family's home wasn't safe and how her little Miguelito was such a sweet kid and her babies deserved a better life. Which eventually leads to her asking the Hulk, "Did my son have a better life?" But right here, the Hulk's just like, "How should I know?" So he breaks off another piece of wood and just drives that into her heart. And right here, when her necklace pops up and lands on top of it, it's here where we're given the further confirmation that this was Miguel's mother. With him being that frightened kid we saw at the beginning of the story in that flashback from 50 years ago. Which now just ties everything together with the story Miguel told Bruce, and the idea of Miguel's mother just trying to do the best for her family, even in the aftermath of a very messed up situation. But following this, the Hulk leaves in Hulk form, which is something that'll be pretty important when we return back to the main series. But just after the Hulk leaves, Miguel, who had been watching this whole time, he steps out to retrieve his mother's necklace, the same one he used to pull on when he was a kid, which now is the only thing he has left to remember his family. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support, and for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.